Arsenal fans, listen to me. Please listen to me. It is okay to criticize every footballer at this football club, including William Saliba. No player, no manager, no man, no woman, anybody in life, and especially to do with our football club, is absolved from criticism. I don't know about anybody else, but for me and my channel and my regular supporters, I always say praise and critique fairly. When there's a reason to praise, praise. When there's a reason to criticize, who asks questions, asks questions. And I just feel like there's a reluctance to be honest about William Saliba. Now, disclaimer, he's a world-class centre-back in the making. He's the best centre-half at our club. He's going to be one of the best in the world if he isn't up there, already. But I believe if I rate him this highly, then the margins for error, and mistakes happen. You've seen it a couple of times against Liverpool, actually. Alisson, world-class goalkeeper. Van Dijk, the benchmark of the modern-day centre-half, had a bit of a brain fart. Mistakes happen. Saliba's made mistakes in his Arsenal career and in general before. He will make mistakes again, just like everyone else. And it's okay. I rate him highly. And I believe to get to that next level, it's about fine-tuning these things out. I think with William Saliba, his biggest strength can also be a curse in that, he's got everything working for him. He's a good-looking guy. Paul's not like me, though, but he's a good-looking guy. Man mountain, colossal defender. He's got great recovery pace, lovely technical ability for a centre-half, very switched on, very gracious, a Rolls Royce of a defender, really. But this last week, there are things he could have done better. I'm sorry, but anybody blaming Gabriel for his own goal, you're smoking something special. I think you're lying to yourselves. Now, when we watch the goal again, I'm sure, Gabriel maybe could have done a bit better. I'm sure, I think it's Saliba and Raya. I think it's more Saliba. Saliba, that's the difference. In Sunday League, many of us defenders would have upped it. That's why we're not William Saliba and we're not playing in the Premier League. 9 out of 10 times, what led to the goal, that doesn't happen. But the one time against a team like Liverpool in the top game where the margins are finer, that's the one time it did. And I personally feel when you watch that Liverpool game again and Saliba's handing the goal, I think, he at times just be a bit more of a traditional defender. I like the fact that there's, playing under pressure and all of these things, but it's a gift and a curse. I think when you watch that again, yeah, you could say, you know what, Saliba ain't got eyes in the back of his head. Maybe Raya can take control of the situation. I don't believe it's Raya. I think Saliba looks like he's got his bearings wrong in that particular moment. He's shielding off the ball. I personally think he thinks he's closer to Raya than where he might believe he actually is in real time. And it's just one of those things for a centre back in their early 20s that it's mistakes like this. It's not good to make mistakes, but it's good for Saliba and in general, while he's up there and he's quality and he's got a great partnership with Gabriel, to remember he's a young centre half. He's still got things out of his game that need to be ironed. I remember Varane as good as he was for Real Madrid, he used to have a couple mistakes. I'm sure in the 2014 World Cup against Germany, he was terrible in that game. But these situations make you, and I believe obviously against Nottingham Forest, it starts and stops, I believe, with Zinchenko, but I feel isolated to the centre halves. I feel Gabriel and Saliba, one criticism of them at times, they ball watch. They don't necessarily watch the striker, and Saliba's over covering. These are moments that need to be fine-tuned out of his game, and it's okay, we got away with it. But I just think there is a reluctance, I see a lot of content creators sitting there and it's all Gabriel or Raya. It's not true, is it? Like, yeah, you can, if they've got a hand to play in the goal, they've got a hand. But it's Saliba. And I'm not saying this should be a Saliba hate campaign. Saliba's made a mistake, make a big song and dance about it. I'm just saying, be honest. Saliba's a quality defender, has saved our bacon 9 times out of 10. He's on it in the big games. How many, whether we've won or lost, how many big games has Saliba come out of? Or if not necessarily big games against the Liverpools and Cities and all, even done it against Haaland, but not in them games, if not in them games, in them typical Premier League games when we rock up away from home, the other team is on it, it's scary and stuff like that. Saliba has shown he's amazing. For me, I don't know why I always think about it, but I'm sure he made one fantastic last-ditch slide tackle against Crystal Palace earlier in the season. Saliba's a quality player, but he will make mistakes. In the same way you've got Saka and Martinelli that are still young and developing, they will score goals and play well, but they'll also miss tap-ins and do things that they need to do better. Again, I don't like to waffle about having a young team and things, but we do. Mikel Arteta is a young manager. He's going to do great things and make mistakes. I've just said about Saka and Martinelli and Saliba. Gabriel, I think he's kind of ironing out the mistakes. They're less frequent, but he still makes mistakes. Zini still makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, you're not learning learning in life, and football, like life, especially for these young players, is a process. It's a gradual learning curve, really. Again, even Van Dijk is learning things. Again, it was a nice game. I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy that Van Dijk made the mistake, because social media, it would have been long for Saliba. But Van Dijk is the benchmark. If I'm William Saliba, obviously Van Dijk is not the first quality centre back, nor will he be the last. But in the modern day, when I'm looking at Saliba, if I'm Saliba, I'm looking at you and saying, look at your counterpart, Van Dijk. That's what, obviously put your own spin on it, but that's what you want to be. A leader for club and country, winning Prems, winning champs, the benchmark for any centre-half. That, any decent centre-half is compared to Van Dijk in today's day and age. So he's one of the best centre-halves to have ever played in the league, but he still made the mistake. The best footballers, it's a rarity, and Saliba's mistakes are rare. This season is the first one where I think it starts and stops with him. I'm sure if we analyze all the goals and things, everybody's got a hand to play where they could have done better. But Saliba's great, and he rarely makes errors. But when he does make an error, and I understand, and again, Saliba has credit in the bank, of course. If Saliba makes mistakes and some other players, you're going to be a bit more frustrated if they're more frequent mistake makers, if that even is a term will make sense. But it's okay, because I rate Saliba and I want him to get to the next level. It's to find margins. Like in that scenario, sometimes just put your foot through it. That's for me anyways. I'm just an ignorant fan, a naive fan. I don't understand football like Mikel Arteta and Saliba, nor have I played in these situations, but just someone that, just an honest armchair fan, I felt Saliba could have hooked it. There are times he could hook it. But as I said, that's something I like about Saliba. There's a reluctance to do that. Like, if he can do a little turn. How many times have Saliba been pressed by two different players, and he just gets out of it? These things I like about Saliba. Keep that in your game. I like his calmness under pressure, his ability to read situations, his ability not to panic and want to play football. In training, Saliba must play up front or in midfield. Again, he's one of them. He's a defender, five-a-side, he's playing up front. So I like it, but it's about balance. And I genuinely think in that situation, we could have put our foot through it. Literally, we scored all 4 goals, and the only thing that would have made that Liverpool game better, on top of winning and the obvious, would have been a clean sheet, and probably would have been some more goals. But again, we enjoyed today, we enjoyed yesterday, and we go again, really and truly. We did what we needed to do. Mistakes happen. There'll be throughout the season, there's been many different protagonists and heroes. The heroes one week will make the mistakes in the next. That is football, and that's why you need a squad where other players, it's not quite them to be the protagonist. Other players stand up to be counted. But for me, it's okay. It's okay to criticize Saliba. I'm not talking about people that got agendas and football banter and stuff. I'm talking merely to my Arsenal family. It is okay to criticize every player, including William Saliba, and actually the manager, not today, but the manager, Mikel Arteta, because I feel there's too many vested interests in general. There's people that, are on one side and then the other side, and they're both dishonest. What about the middle ground in that, in relation to Saliba in this vid? Quality centre-back, quality player. Want to see him become a main player for France. Want to see him go to that next level. Think he's steady rising up the ranks and passing every test that's being thrown in front of him. But these little fine margins are what's going to get him to that next level. Fine-tuning that. As I said, mistakes happen. They'll happen again. But it's okay to criticize everyone, including William Saliba. That's all I wanted to say. Fundamentally, once again, still a quality centre-back, and the mistake didn't prove fatal because we got 3 points for running off to the sunset. That's all I wanted to say. Hit the like button, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace.
There's always that active red light defending. I think it's like